met de directing door Alexis Steffen. And you are watching Eclectic Arts Media.
Yeah, I figured out, so, okay, I could produce this sound. This is so cool.
All right, look here. Hey, this is Alex Story from Cancer Slug. This is Cancer Slug. And you're watching Eclectic Arts Media. See, I said it right.
Going to somewhere like that and playing those places that all those bands that you listen to play.
Hello, we're Rolling Hearts!
Hello, my name is Richard Wynn Sloniker. I play Hercule Poirot at Taproot and Murder on the Links, and you're watching Eclectic Arts Media.
And then I'm singing and I'm going, I'm not all by myself anymore.
Oh, whoa. Whoa.
I know.
But I find that I have the best fans.
Hello, my name is Kate Yeager, and I play Louise Seeger.
Hi, I'm Cayman Illica, and I play Patsy Cline.
And you're watching Eclectic Arts Media.
You're not everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine because I don't drink tea anyway. I'm a coffee drinker, so it's like whatever, you know.
When you have limited time, you're just like, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go into the woods, I'm gonna film myself.
Aloha, I'm Jake Shimobukuro, and you're watching Eclectic Arts Media.
I think I forgot your question, but I went on a different path, but it felt great.
And I need to keep as much hair as possible because, particularly in Hindley Street, no one's got hair. You'd fit right in, Mark. So
the meadows are so beautiful. The lake is just as gorgeous. And then, of course, you have Cathedral Rock, which looks so awesome.
That's right. Daddy loves being in control. Whether that's teasing you with my knife.
So after a super short walk, we're finally here at the Firewave. This is an iconic place for Nevada. Highly photographed. I myself, like I've mentioned, have been here before, and I got the cutest photos. You can see them all over social media. All you have to do is search the Firewave.
And something that I've learned over the course of the last couple of years is you're not everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine because I don't drink tea anyway. I'm a coffee drinker, so it's like whatever.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. I'm Mark Sugiyama from Eclectic Arts Media, based here in Seattle, Washington. And thank you so much for joining me on this Thursday, the 21st of August, 2025. And I'd like to thank Jason McMahon from Highland Street Country Club for joining me last night. He has two distinctions now. He is the latest live stream I've ever done, which was at 10:30 p.m. to start. He's also the first woodwind player, which was really head-scratching to me that of all the guests I've had over the years that I've not interviewed someone that was a woodwind player, saxophone player. But it's great talking with him and finding out more about his background, and he even pulled out his sax at one point. He pulled out some of his other instruments to kind of show, because he was in his music room at the time when we did the live stream. So thank you very much, Jason. And speaking of which, coming up right after this live stream at 2 p.m. today, Halcon Negro, the luchador, is expected to stop by and talk about what he's been up to. He has a couple live events where he'll be wrestling this weekend. And I know on the outside level, I guess professional level, he also, I believe, got his college degree recently. So we'll probably talk about the balance between wrestling and home life, and I know he's got kids and everything else running around, little luchadors. So he's always been a great guest, so I'm looking forward to having him come back again. So that's at 2 p.m. Pacific today. So it's pretty rare when I've had two live streams back to back, but it's beautiful out today, and I'll be in here doing live streams, at least for the afternoon. If this is your first time on my YouTube channel, if you could do me a huge favor, please hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell. And if you're over on the Twitch side of things, if you could follow me over there, I'd appreciate that. And anytime I have something specifically coming up, just things in general, goofy things, stuff that I'm doing in person, when I have live streams, I always promote everything first on my Instagram account, which is Eclectic Arts Media, one word. And then some of that information migrates over to other social media platforms. And if you're really feeling generous to help support what I do, it's been over 5 years of being here in the virtual world. This streaming service does cost me money every month. There's a PayPal me and a Venmo link in every live stream description that I do. So if you're in a position to do so, but every dollar helps, believe me, as everything in the world is going up in costs. So is this, so is everything else that I have going on. So That is always appreciated. All right. Somebody was asking me about my my recurring series that I was doing prior to me taking a quote unquote break from the live stream world for a couple of months. And messages have been sent to those guests, and I'm just seeing if someone's going to get back to me. I'm not trying to put anybody on blast. I'm just saying, look, that's kind of how things work. I'm not going to chase after a grown adult to schedule something that we should kind of be able to just kind of instantly do, either via phone or email or what have you. But and sometimes people just change their mind, or it could be that there's not a good time right now to continue those things. I'm perfectly fine with that. But I'll see if some communication comes back my way, and then if it does, then we'll move forward and get things going. And if not, then we'll just kind of part ways and see what's coming up on the horizon. All right, let's get to things. My guest today first joined me back in April of this year, which is kind of crazy to think about. Her fan sites will feed your adult needs, while her YouTube channel provides all ages entertainment via the great outdoors. Please welcome back to the Eclectic Arts Media virtual studio, Miss Tiffany Time.
Hello, Mark. Pleasure to see you again.
Thank you so much for coming back, Tiffany. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah, no, so this is great to have you back. And you may not be aware of this, but you're the first guest of 2025 to come back for a second interview.
Ah, well, it's a pleasure to be here. And it is wild that you said I was here in April, because time really flies, doesn't it?
It does. When I was looking back doing research yesterday, I'm like, that was in April?
Yeah. And time goes more quickly these days for me.
Yeah, and I guess there's something about the months that start with A, I guess, April and August.
They're good ones, both of them.
Yeah, so we'll have plenty to catch up on and discuss and promote and everything in between. I think for me, I would love to kind of dive into what you've been doing with your YouTube channel, because the first interview you talked about it. There's a few videos that are on there, and since then, within what has that been? Not even 6 months. It's really just like grown and expanded, and your subscribers are over 1,000, which means you're definitely monetized and everything else that happens with YouTube. How are you feeling about where your YouTube channel is going so far?
It's better than I could have imagined. I wish I would have caught on to YouTube years ago, because I have been going on these hikes that I now take everyone on for the past 10 years. And so it's really lovely to be able to share these hiking experiences with everyone, particularly those that love the outdoors or that have interest in the outdoors and have never been particular places. It's really nice to be able to share the hiking experiences with them.
Cool. So are you on a travel schedule, like like every week or every 2 weeks that you're going to go to do a new hike, or how often are you going?
That's a solid question. I travel a lot in general. I travel a lot to work with other creators. However, I've always traveled quite a lot for pleasure, and just really enjoy hiking in general. So initially when I started the YouTube channel, it wasn't really a thought of, okay, I'm going to have to travel every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks to get these videos going out pretty frequently. But as I began making them and posting them, I'm like, oh, what am I going to post next? So I have found myself more these days scheduling my content trips alongside my adult content trips alongside my hiking content trips, and going places that I really want to go, and then just seeing who I can find to meet up with while I'm there. So no particular schedule right now, although I will say I find myself traveling about twice a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it sounds like, which doesn't surprise me, using your head to kind of kill two birds with one stone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to be making content creation for the adult side, it's like, well, I want to go over here to do this hike, and then who's around that area that might want to collaborate?
Right. Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but has anyone from the adult world that you've collaborated, have they gone on a hike with you?
So yes, I actually went to Well, so back in April, I believe I went to Malta with friends for a content trip, and I ended up taking my girlfriend Denise Anders on a hike with me, and I did film that Malta hike, and we posted it on YouTube. So that was the first time that I had vlogged someone coming with me. Interestingly enough, Denise had also joined me the previous year in May when we went to California and I hiked Yosemite, and I brought her along for like a 10-miler. At the time, I wasn't filming though. I wasn't filming these vlogs. So she always recalls that experience. But just recently, I hiked in Zion National Park, which is in Utah. And it was fantastic. And I had 2 creators come out and spend some time with me, and we did some hikes. So really excited to share those with YouTube.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I see. I between the YouTube channel and then your social media work, and we'll talk about that separately. Sometimes I'm like, well, wait a minute, there's somebody else with her.
Yeah, I brought my friend along for this one. Her name is Abby, and we did 3 days in Zion together, and we hiked 2 epic hikes. One is called the Narrows in Zion, and that's primarily through, I believe it's called the Virgin River. So that entire hike is through water. And the depth of that water goes from anywhere from like ankle deep to chest deep to full on swimming. So that was really cool. And then we also hiked the subway in Zion, which is just a beautiful slot canyon. And it's about 9 miles, 9.5. Both of those hikes are about 9 miles round trip. So we did those together. And then another friend of mine, Lexa Stoll, joined me on the last day of the trip, and we did Canyon Overlook Trail together. So got 3 really good vlogs to share with my fans, and my friends were along on those.
Okay, cool. Wow, you got a lot of stuff that's going on, from the hiking part of the world. And I'm just kind of curious, since I don't hike. Since you've been doing this for, like you said, like 10 years prior of doing hikes everywhere, how are you finding like new places to go? Are there like websites or things that kind of people tip you off to, like, oh, this would be a great place for you to check out, and you're like, oh yeah, that would be good?
Yeah. So I definitely take people's recommendations on where to go. However, just over the last 10 years, we've primarily just a good place to start is just finding the national parks. Like, where are the national parks? And then digging into those national parks and seeing what exactly it has to offer. There are national park websites, but another place to do that is like simply like TikTok or Instagram. You can pretty much go to any travel page or individual's page who backpacks and hikes and find some really epic places and other hikers that recommend those hikes. So yeah, that's usually where I start.
Okay, well, that's good information for everybody out there watching, if they're looking to just hike in general, and how to get started with things, or if they want to start vlogging like what you're doing. And that kind of brings up a question for me, that clearly someone's filming you when you're out there on these hikes. Is that someone who is your videographer and they do all the work, or are they just filming and then you go and edit it yourself later?
No. So my husband and I work as a team. And he and I have been enjoying hiking together for so many years that he actually has a background in photography as a hobby. And when we first met, we would travel the world, and we have epic landscape photos of, Norway and Patagonia. And it's pretty interesting to see how my career has shifted within the last 10 years, and how his hobby of photography has now shifted into more like photography and videography. And instead of doing landscape, which he still enjoys, he's getting really good at the portrait side of things as well. Luckily for him, he's able to mix the portrait and landscape together in these vlogs that we share. So he has his responsibilities when it comes to vlogging and editing, and I have my responsibilities when it comes to packing and knowing the facts about the trails and being well prepared for the hikes that we have in store. So it's a team effort.
Okay. Okay. And it sounds like you both have figured out your roles too, to make it work really well.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of work, you know, to get into the flow of things. But yeah, we've pretty much managed, what goes into it. Like particularly when it comes to the hiking and the editing, that's more his role, and then the filming and editing for the adult industry and the management of that. And that's more of my role. So together we really are a power dynamic.
Okay. Well, it's also great that you clearly have somebody that you trust. I think that's probably the biggest thing that I've come across with other people in the arts. Like if they're doing something and they have to trust a videographer or somebody, trying to find that person that they can continually go to. Sometimes it's really difficult. They'll find one that's maybe good for a couple things, and then they kind of flake on something else that they really needed them for. And clearly, decision making, being husband and wife, you can talk to each other about. I think we should do this. No, maybe we should actually do this, and it might be a bit better over there, or time of day or whatever.
We're great at giving each other constructive criticism when it comes to the editing and the filming and things of that sort. Obviously, we both have quite an eye for it, and I know what works. I know what works for myself and my brand, and so together, I really have that control over, what we're putting out there. And it's nice to have someone who really knows you, and like you said, that you trust and who truly knows yourself and your brand to help you bring in and show to viewers, what you feel is true to yourself. So it's nice, yeah, to have someone that you trust and you can count on for things like that.
Absolutely. It's probably why I'm still a team of one. Because of things
Your time will come, Mark.
We'll see. I've had some people ask about if I wanted to have them maybe start shooting shows for me, since I kind of pulled away from it. And I'm kind of like, I don't know yet. I'll think about it, but if I do go that route, I'll contact you. I'll look into your background at least and see if you're going to be a good fit.
It's definitely important as well. I have had solo travels. Obviously, we can't always be together, and I've had to hire photographers and videographers, and it's really important to vet out who you're working with and review their catalog, prior to hiring them. So I can understand.
Yeah, I won't get into the whole story that happened back when I used to work with models many years ago and getting my website built. Basically short stories that it ended up not getting built. And actually, funny enough, it was because of a photo I had taken of a bare back of the model that showed just her back, nothing else. So it was basically implied nudity or whatever you want to call it at that point. And the webmaster had a huge issue with that and called it pornography and called it all these other things, and just yanked themselves right off the project after like 6 months of us working on getting this thing built and finally professionally out there. So that left a really bad taste in my mouth. So then I just built my own site and I started doing all these other things kind of on my own. So I guess I'm a little bit gun shy, but I really shouldn't be, because I know there's some incredible people still in my circle that I could collaborate with if I wanted to kind of talk to them about it. But I'm like, well, it's also kind of fun for me to learn something new too, to an extent.
It is. And it's funny you say that, because it is nice to learn new things and kind of tricks of the trade, but it's always good to have someone to fall back on that you can kind of pick their brain about, if you have questions,
Absolutely, because I'm sure with your content that sometimes you can get so close to what you're doing that you kind of lose your perspective on it. So you need somebody from the outside. So, you know what? Is that how you wanted that to look? Is that how you wanted it to sound or whatever? And like, what are you talking about? And then you kind of look back and like, oh, yeah, you're right. I think there's something here. I've been spending too much time with this. I need to kind of pull back and then have fresh eyes on it.
Yeah, it's nice because you're right. Sometimes you have this vision and you get yourself aligned with that and you're working through it, and then you're trying to give off and communicate a particular thing or a particular focus or theme or whatever it is. And then it's nice to have another set of eyes and say like, hey, how does this come across to you? What does this say to you? Am I giving off what I'm trying to give off, or are you taking away something completely different? So
Yeah, I can think of probably the biggest culprits are bands that have been around for a while that worked with producers over the years. They get to a point like, you know what, I've been doing this for 20 years. We know as a band what we want to sound like. So, you know, so-and-so, the main songwriter is going to be the producer on the album. And then what they don't realize is that every album that they put out that they self-produce kind of sounds the same because they don't have in many cases, the expertise to actually figure out how to make it sound the way it sounds in their head.
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and I understand also like from a cost standpoint, you know, in their case, if they're saving money, not hiring a producer, but it's like, don't you want this material to sound as good as humanly possible? Because right now it's not. It's sounding just really one note and very flat. And it's like, because you're too married to the material, you need somebody out here to say, you know what? We need to redo this, or we need to rearrange that bridge isn't working in that song, and kind of, you know, push back professionally.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good take. Sometimes it's even worth saying like, hey, like let's scratch that all together. Scratch that all together and, you know, run it back one more time and bring something new into it. And sometimes, you know, even with editing, I get irritated. I'm like, but I get quite stubborn, you know. But it's definitely nice to get a different perspective.
For sure. And I'm thinking about, I believe something you had said during the first interview is that, which made sense, is that you're really particular about, like, there's a lot of intention with what you do, even like when you're here now, like what's around you and how you present yourself. Does that mentality get challenged when you're outdoors, when you can't control everything?
Of course. Yes, it does. It certainly does. And I think being in the outdoors, it humbles you a little bit, you know, especially when you're trying to do a job like, say, like vlog a hike, because you're dealing with weather conditions, you're dealing with, you know, random rainstorms. The wind doesn't make your hair look quite right, you know, or in my case, you know, you slip and fall and into the subway and you get soaking wet, and that really wasn't what you were trying to bring across on camera. But I have noticed that in photography and videography as a whole, usually the harshest outdoor conditions look the most beautiful on camera. And the experience in itself is always memorable because you always remember what you went through to get that piece of content or that piece of material. But I can say that as far as like photo sets and scenes, those roughest, harsh outdoor elements look fantastic on camera when you watch them later.
Okay, so it basically makes it worth it then.
Totally worth it. Yeah, totally worth it. And it makes it more memorable as well. I like to tell people like every hiking experience is a new learning opportunity. And there's always, you know, one particular hike, you know, the mice stole my socks. Another particular hike, I ran out of water and hiked 5 miles without it, you know, and every one of those experiences has made me a better hiker. So each time I film content outdoors, and it's not always what you envisioned, but a lot of times it comes out being better.
Okay, that's cool. It reminds me a little bit of, there's a couple of models that come to mind that for whatever reason, I'd have ideas in my head of how I wanted the shoot to go. And then I would talk with them, and I already knew that they're going to come with it from a really different angle, but somehow it worked. The meshing of our ideas together. So I had to kind of learn how to trust that process, because I was a bit of a control freak and gonna say like, no, I don't know, I don't think we should do that. And then they might say the same thing to me, like, well, I don't think we should do that. And then it's like, well, no, let's try these ideas that we're both talking about, and then we'll look at the results, and we're like, damn, that came out really good. So I need to basically trust you, and then you need to trust me a little bit more, and then that relationship gets that much better once that trust is there. But getting to that point, at least for me, it was difficult.
Yeah, it's important to let go of the control a little bit, you know, especially when you're working with another person, trying to back off on how much you control and give room for both of your ideas to grow. And it's generally worth it. And it also makes the content like that much more authentic, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I've just like what you're saying with every hike you've done, that's an educational experience. It's something that you can learn from. And at every shoot that I ever did, every interview that I do, I can always learn something from it. I used to be pretty hard on myself when I would go back and look at my live stream interviews from like maybe 4 years ago even, and think, man, that was not flowing the way I wanted to, or I didn't hit the notes I wanted to. And it's, so how do I change that for the next one? But at the same time, there's got to be some level of grace too, because you don't want to suck the life out of it either. It's like, it's got to still be fun.
Yeah, it still has to be fun. I do the same thing now with social media as well. You know, you have a skit in mind, or you have something in particular and you want it to look a certain way. But I like, my husband and I and some of my friends call it one take Tiffany. One take Tiffany. And there's a particular reel I'll have in mind, and I'll film it and then I'll have a look at it. And I'm like, yep, that's great. Because when you start to put in the extra effort and the extra energy, that doesn't always pay off. If anything, it kind of makes you go a bit loopy trying to get something perfect. And then a lot of times, you know, those one take things, those are the ones that go viral, you know? So letting go of control is really important.
Yeah, no, that's a great example of, it's kind of like sometimes, again, I go back to the music thing. You can record a demo and it might be the first take that the band does. And it's like, it's not technically perfect, but man, we captured some sort of vibe there, and we couldn't get it back. So it's just like, just go with that one. It's gonna, it'll affect people that, in your case, that watch the social media aspect of it, and it'll connect with them versus me sitting there trying to polish it and maybe improve it. It's like, no.
Yeah. Do it 10 more times and see how you feel after that. For me personally, I get a little pissed off. I'm like, that's it. I've had enough. I think it's just easier. And you hear that from a lot of influencers and a lot of creators and stuff, that, you know, trying not to perfect everything and trying to make it, you know, a regular part of your routine to just film and put what you got out there is better than trying to retake it 10, 15 times and getting yourself flustered. And then you kind of stop there. You know, your progress kind of stops right where it is.
That's very true. I mean, I can think of some people that I watch on YouTube just for fun, especially their shorts, and none of them are perfect. I'm not even close to being perfect. And I'm not even looking for that. I'm looking just for kind of the gist of what they're saying. If it's funny, if it's entertaining, if it's something educational that I learned something from. I don't need them to be doing 50 takes of something, and hopefully they're not. Just kind of like, this one seems to get across what I wanted to from an entertainment standpoint. So let's see what happens. And then, you know, if that thing goes viral or just has a lot of views, period, then that kind of tells you that's probably where that's the wheelhouse I should be staying in, not this one over here that I think is perfection.
Yeah, it's everything. What is perfection anyway? Everything has its own idea of perfection, you know. I recently started posting my bloopers, because I know a lot, like from my YouTube videos and even from my reels and things, because a lot of times I'm trying to get something across and I say something totally different, and I make myself sound silly, but I've started to post them online, and people love the authenticity of it. You know, nobody's perfect.
Yeah, no, I love that kind of thing personally as a fan. And I think I've only done that once that I can remember with one of my favorite singers of all time. I interviewed her in person, and unfortunately the band that was headlining was doing their sound check, and there was no other place for us to do this interview, including outside. So we were like, well, when the drummer's not doing his stuff, we'll be able to talk and we'll record the interview. And I swear, like every 10 seconds he would start doing something again, so we'd hardly get any talking. And so I remember I took those edits and stuck it at the end of her video, so people watched the actual video, and then they saw how hard it was for me to actually get this interview done, because
yeah, it can be so difficult, and you know, it can really be hard work. I think I said that in my most recent hike too. I said oftentimes I'll turn around and I'll walk backwards on the trail and share facts about the trail, or, you know, the terrain or what have you. And this one particular hike that I just did, which was the subway, it kicked my butt. And I remember saying in the video, like, I really hope you enjoy this footage, and I just want you to know that it wasn't easy to get. So I can relate.
Yeah, and I think anyone that that vlogs or does their own content or their own media thing or what have you, that they understand this, like, especially when you're trying to film stuff, and like you said, outdoors and the weather changes and conditions change, and it's like, yeah, I'm glad I'm entertaining you while you sit on your couch watching me on your TV.
Yeah. Do you know how hard this was to make happen?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
it really can be.
that's great, and it seems like you have the right level of transparency with what you're doing, so that it kind of feels whole instead of it being really, really more product oriented, which I personally don't like. So I think you found that balance.
Yeah, I catch myself saying goofy things all the time. Even that hike that you mentioned, I think the one with the best views was called the Fire Wave. And somewhere along that hike, I said, "Well, just follow me, and I'll take you where you need to go," or something like that. And I like laughed at myself on camera because that was not what I was trying to say, but it worked. So
Yeah, and again, like you said, that's that authenticity piece, and it's like it makes people feel like you're a real person doing this hike versus some, I don't know, super polished multi-million-dollar production type of thing, which after a while it's just like, even those people, they still will have something that's kind of funny that they do, and they leave it in there because it helps give some balance to it.
Yeah, it makes it. It certainly does. And with hiking, sometimes like the long hikes, I'm a huge fan of like the 9 milers. Like that's my happy spot. But there's a lot of peaks and valleys, and I'm not talking about like hills. I'm talking about like in your emotions in a 9 mile hike. There's a lot of highs and lows. There's a lot of frustration with all of the elements that you're dealing with that can come up, and then there's like moments of just like pure bliss. So it's normal. We're not all very, we're not all robots.
Well, I have one more question about hikes, and then we're going to kind of shift gears into some other topics. And I'm wondering, are there certain types of hikes that, at least maybe just right now or maybe ever, that you're like, that's something you don't want to do?
I think I said it like 10 times over this last week. I'm really not a fan of water hikes. So like I'm really not a fan of getting like wet throughout the hikes, like the wet boots, the wet backpack. At the end of Zion, I had like wet food in my backpack and my shoes were wet. And those are definitely the ones that I'm like, oh, so glad that's over with. But I will say it would never stop me from doing another one.
Okay. So it's more of I guess a preference that you'd rather not do those, but if it's going to be like amazing, I'm still going to do this and just know what the consequences could be.
If the views are worth it, but it's nice to know in advance what you're dealing with.
Okay. And again, for everybody watching this, I mean, the link to Tiffany's YouTube channel is in the description of this video. So once you're done watching this, go check out her YouTube, subscribe to it, and see all these adventures she's talking about, because she's doing hikes all over the place, not just in America. So it's really, I found it really entertaining. I also think that those videos are about the right length.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can sit there and watch one, it could be 8 to 10 minutes long. And then I'm like, oh, what's the next one? And then what's the next one? And the next thing I know, I'm watching a bunch of them.
Yeah, we try really hard on that one, hitting the right length, because personally, my attention spans, I got about 8 minutes. I got about 8 minutes before I start to wander a little bit. So I appreciate that. That's such a compliment.
Yeah, again, it's really good stuff. I'm really excited to see how the channel just keeps growing and gets bigger and more places that you go to. Again, it's a hard thing to find how you feel about your work, being comfortable and okay with it, and also getting it out to the people out there that are resonating with people. And you've found this balance, because also the tone of those videos on your hikes is really pleasant.
Thank you.
Yeah, you don't have to be some hardcore hiker to enjoy it. There's a human element to it for sure, but also you definitely learn something, because like you said, there's always going to be information about the hike and the trail and other things that you came across, and then next thing you know, you're saying something that seems really goofy. There's this mash of things that really works.
Yeah, I appreciate that. There's a lot to come. I'm really excited. I'm really excited about the next hikes. So that's such a compliment. I really appreciate that, Mark.
Absolutely. Thank you for the content. And it's a good way to segue. We kind of mentioned a little bit about your social media. And since we talked back in April, you've really been doing a lot of the comedy reels, comedy video edits and things that are on your social media that I personally like because it's such a refreshing take on how you brand yourself. That it's still, I don't even know exactly, like, are those things that you're doing solely on your own, or is your husband involved with those too, with the video things that I see?
Yeah, so we work together on editing and coming up with ideas, and we bounce things off of each other. They're they're really nice to do because I'm sure you know that trying to promote a brand or content in particular can be a bit of an energy drain. And so, you know, the vlogs in themselves are just a lot of work in general. But the social media aspect of it can be really draining. And so I made a shift to more comedy based reels, and I can tell you I have such a more pleasant time filming them. It's fantastic, and I can watch them myself. And not everyone's like the funniest thing that you'll see, but personally, I will watch my reels and I laugh. I genuinely laugh at them, and I'm like, oh, okay, if I think it's funny, somebody out there has got to think it's funny, you know. But they're really so much more pleasurable to film.
You know, and that makes perfect sense. Like you said, it can be so draining keeping up with your social media content and things you put out there, that if you're doing something funny, and like you said, and it makes yourself laugh, then someone's going to laugh along with it, which is definitely true. I know in my case, because you had that one recently when was there like powder on that gal's butt, and then
yeah, it was so great. So I was with Abby and Zion, and we used powdered sugar. But yeah, she put, it looks like powder, and she like put powder on her butt, and then she like farted, and then Abby and I were side by side with a little burst of powdered sugar, and the footage was really great. And then just looking at the little stories that the little things we filmed for ourselves for like our own personal, you know, our own personal laughs. We really had a great time, you know. It's kind of hard not to be like covered in powdered sugar and not laughing. It was great.
Yeah, I see. I mean, like that's a perfect example. And then here you are, both of you doing other things for, you know, shits and giggles yourselves, and it's still just kind of like a good time. So
yeah, and it's a great separation. Like it's a great separation from, you know, hiking, and a great separation from, you know, adult industry filming. And I really try to use each platform to give off a different part of my personality, right? Because if you subscribe to my YouTube, why would you want to subscribe to my Instagram and find the same thing? I mean, that may be the case, and people may love that, but there's so many different parts and like pieces of my personality that I feel like I'm able to offer to fans on different platforms.
see, that's the smart approach in your head, and also with your husband's input. I'm sure that the way you're viewing that is the way, to me, more people should be viewing it. They try to become almost like they're just this one lane, this one silo over here. It's kind of like, that's so limiting in terms of what you do. And like
yeah,
you said,
you pigeonhole yourself into just being this one particular type of way. And if everyone took me for, you know, the Dami with the big strap on, like that wouldn't appeal to every person. Granted, it's genuine to me, and I'm quite okay with not appealing to everyone. But it's part of what makes people more likable, like different parts of their personalities, you know what I mean? And there's some things that are totally unrelatable to somebody, and then another part of your personality that's so relatable and that really appeals to them. So yeah, it's nice to be able to just share different things.
absolutely. I mean, I'm called Eclectic Arts for a reason. I mean,
yeah, that's fair. I really like that title, by the way. And you did a phenomenal job on that intro. the like compilations of, you know, the different people speaking about eclectic arts media and things. So good job on that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. It's always fun coming up with those video intros. And as we get further into the calendar year, it gets tougher because I always try to keep it a certain length. So that means I have something really small for somebody, or some people just may not make the cut depending on what's going on. But I have the opposite problem in January where it's like,
okay,
I haven't interviewed anybody. So I guess I'm going to dip back into December and pull some stuff.
That's the compilations are really cool. In my line of work, I usually call them compilations, and I put different pieces of footage together to offer, you know, one really explosive video. but I really do appreciate that, and I saw bits of me in there, so that was a nice touch. Thank you.
Yeah, and I can tell you honestly, you've been there since April. So every live stream I've done, that you've been in some part of that video montage, no matter how much it's changed. So
thank you.
Yeah, I liked, again, and we talked about this during the first one, I liked how the intention of everything in that room that you were filming in. I liked what you said. It was funny. I liked that you were being authentic. And so I'm like, this it speaks to what you just said earlier, that I think some people don't realize if someone's in the adult world that they think, well, this is all they are. It's like, well, no, they have so many other
offer.
Yeah, and I've had some people recently talk about that were new to what I do. They had been a guest, and they started looking through my YouTube channel. They're like, "Oh, you talked to all kinds of different people." And they're like, "I saw this one," and they were like, "Oh, that was really kind of spicy." And I'm like, "I don't think of things that way." Yeah, maybe that's what they do as an adult. But I said, "What did you think about the rest?" I said, "Oh, that's a person seemed really cool. I really liked what they had to say." And I was like, "Good," because that's what I want people to kind of pull from. Whatever stereotype you have in your head of any guest that I have, that there's all these other things that are more of the truth to them.
They're so multifaceted. People are, there's so much more than meets the eye with people.
Yeah, I mean, you have all the things going on for what you do. I'm thinking of another guest I've had on who loves to skydive, and people, I didn't know that she skydived, and she's done like 1,000 jumps or whatever. But she's known for adult. She's known for this. She's known for that. I'm like, again, are you a one-note person? Hopefully not in your life, that there's other parts of your personality. You love to do sports. You love to garden. You love to do whatever. I said, why would these people be any different? They're not. They're people just like you are. But you happen to know them for one thing. Here's all the other things. So hopefully you learn something. Yeah, you're, again, going back to your social media stuff. It's something that you've found this interesting balance, I think, with all of it. So the hiking on YouTube has a certain balance to it. The social media with the comedy and the videos have a certain balance to it. And I think it's just kind of shown how much work you've put into those things to kind of figure out where being true to yourself, but then how do I get out what I want to get across to people so they'll keep coming back and keep telling their friends and all that kind of stuff. And that's hard. That's really, really hard to do.
It takes a good amount of my time, a lot of it, a lot of it. And then trying to, because everything is so different, it's not, I mean, granted, I repurpose content, of course. I feel like all creators repurpose content, but trying to meet each one of those platforms on a different level it has its challenges.
Absolutely. I think it's just easier for people to, even though like we were just talking earlier, that's really not maybe the best way to go. They'd rather just kind of stay in that one lane because it is easier just to kind of do it instead of like taking the time to say, well, okay, with my social media, I really want to kind of hit this kind of mark. And then over here, I want to kind of hit this, but it's working. That's the best news, from my point of view. It's working for you.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. Thanks for noticing.
Yeah, people like me notice. There was that I was covering this concert and I was talking to the guests. This was like maybe 6 months after the concert, and I was like, yeah, I was one of those people. I'm listening to hear if I hear tracks coming over the PA that you guys are playing with, and then when I didn't really hear tracks, I'm looking at each of you playing your instruments, and am I hearing what you're playing, or am I hearing something enhanced? And they're like, do you ever enjoy your concerts, Mark? Because I do, but initially I'm trying to figure out what is live and what is not, because so many people use tracks now, and it turned out those guys were completely trackless. They didn't have any tracks at all, and that tells me you are stellar musicians. That's what it tells me.
That is pretty cool. I quite like the people that like you, Mark, that like to try to pick things apart. I even throw in some of my social media, I throw in little Easter eggs here and there to see if people will pick them up, like what's floating around in the background or why is that there? And it's always fun to chat with the people or have a little banter back and forth with the people that notice.
That's great. Now everyone's going to be looking for Easter eggs.
Yeah.
And let's kind of shift gears into where you are with your adult work. Because when we last talked, I think a professional scene had just come out or was going to be coming out. And then clearly you have your fan sites content that you've been working on and meeting with other creators and doing that. Where are we now that we're 5 months since that last interview?
So we're growing. I did have a pro scene come out, and am dabbling a little more into the pro side of things, but I do know that at heart, I'm a content creator, and I like having a lot of control. Granted, we give in a little bit here and there, but I like having a lot of control over my content. So that will always be a massive priority for me, is my OnlyFans and my Fansly. Both of them, I share some of the same things, but also, again, a lot of different things. There are certain things on Fansly that I share with my fans that are a bit naughtier, on the naughtier side of things, that I really enjoy, that I'm not able to give off on OF due to, one thing or another. Each platform has its own terms of service and its community guidelines. So those are my two primary concerns and my focus that I'm putting in on a daily. But am dabbling here and there in some new things, and I'm excited to share those with everyone. But as always, you don't want to give too much away. Yeah, you want to keep the mystery behind it a little bit. Keep fans excited.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something where, and you know better than anyone about, it's a bit of giving content, but also giving a tease, hanging that
tease.
Yeah, you have to keep hanging that carrot to some degree. Otherwise, it's like, well, I've seen and know everything. Why would I come back?
I try to give, it was interesting because I saw a little piece of, I believe, a Pornhub video in the beginning, and I do like to give a little bit of a tease on Pornhub. I think that it gives you great exposure to different fans without, giving everything away at once. There's a lot that I have to offer as far as content on OnlyFans and Fansly, and it's not just dommy mommy stuff. There are different sides to me sexually, as there are different sides of my personality, right? So there's a lot to offer, and I try and bring that across, not just my socials, but also my content creation.
Again, yeah, and you do a good job of that. Again, it seems like there's so much intention with what you do. I don't think anything comes out just like some sort of half-assed idea. It seems like, no, you thought about it some. And again, you don't think about it to death, but you think about it so that it looks like you actually had some purpose to why you did something.
Come up with a game plan. I mean, try to run it back a couple of times, but yes, very intentional. And I love those that notice. Thank you.
Absolutely. I don't know how many times I've talked to other people about things with like, so what was your intention behind that? And so they can't explain it. They can't explain it to me. And I'm kind of, well, that's probably why I'm asking you, because it seemed really odd. Which is like,
yeah,
did I miss something, or what's going on here?
That's interesting. I never really thought about that. I guess I've always kind of, I've always been a very goal-oriented person. And so for me, that, that translate into being very intentional with what I do. There's a goal behind it, right? Some people relate, I guess, and others wouldn't, but I've never really thought on that side of the spectrum before.
Yeah, for me, just personally, with artists and people that I'm aware of or fans of, I like it better when there's some intention to it. They just look like they use their brain and their the artistry, their creativity, everything else, versus just like throwing something up and hoping it sticks.
It definitely makes it a bit easier as well, I think. It makes it a bit easier to kind of lay things out and develop a plan and then take initiative to complete that versus just throwing haphazardly at the wall, you know, like you said, to see if something sticks or not. It helps, especially in this industry, because with so many platforms and so much to do, you really have to be quite organized, you know, as a creator. So I feel like that's very helpful.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I've talked about this once where I have a good friend that lives here locally, and this is probably a couple of years ago. She was looking into OnlyFans. That's maybe something she wanted to do. So, and we talked. I'd photographed her many, many times over the years. I said, "So, what do you want from this? You know, why are you doing it? What are your reasonings behind it?" And it was basically coming down to money. I said, okay, but what are you willing to do to get, you understand, this is a big undertaking. If you actually want to do it, you need to go all in. You can't kind of like half-ass it. And I definitely won't be involved with something that's being half-assed. So figure out these steps, and are you okay with this, 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 and this? And that's what she was kind of picking my brain. And at the end of the day, she kind of realized, I don't think I want to do all of this stuff. It's too much work. And I'm like,
It's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. And you see, I really love the industry simply because I really value the freedom of self-expression. And I think that these platforms offer just that. They offer the ability to have that freedom and self-expression and I quite like that. I always knew that I wanted to do adult entertainment in some degree. However, I pushed it back quite a while and followed the more traditional route at first. But I love what this career path has to offer as far as freedom of expression and creativity and kinkiness. Oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah, and that's probably some of the best things that have come from the fan site platforms. It's even same thing, like I keep going back to music things, but with Bandcamp and Spotify and other things that came out there, you can be someone that creates your music, but now you have a platform to get it out to other people.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
It is. I'm so old that I remember the days, like if you recorded some sort of song on your own, it's like, well, how are people going to hear it? I mean, the people in your circle might be able to go bring a cassette or something to them and say, play this. But people around the world, they won't know what you're doing. But now,
I love that perspective. I've always thought about it, from my like creativity perspective on the platforms that I'm able to share, my creativity with. But coming from you and hearing it from the more artistic side, like musically, that's a very good point that they, now people have these platforms to promote themselves and put their content out there to share with everyone. And that's really cool.
It is, absolutely. I mean, anyone watching this at any time has probably spent some time on YouTube, for example, and they started going down a rabbit hole on someone's channel because it's like, this is really interesting. What is this? And it could be their talent. Maybe they're really good as a musician. Maybe there's someone that vlogs hikes. Maybe there's somebody that is really good as a computer IT person that can solve your problems.
Yeah.
And prior to those platforms, you didn't have that access. You're looking up, if even when the internet first came along, you might be searching for like a PDF or like a manual of how to fix something or whatever. That's probably the most you're going to find. You didn't have a full video tutorial of how to step by step go through stuff. Even like for me when I was playing guitar and teaching lessons and stuff, you couldn't go to YouTube and learn how to play this, whatever song it is, some Metallica song or something. There's tons of people out there who actually have it right too. They're like actual guitar instructors that are putting all this stuff up. And if you're a 15-year-old kid at home, you can sit there, oh, okay, and just pause it and try to figure this stuff out. It's so amazing what you have at your fingertips. And from a creator standpoint, it's really, other than limitations from the platform, sky's the limit of what you do.
That makes me feel very grateful, right? Like, I don't know if you have that sense of gratitude to be able to share things with people, because can you imagine being in a place where you didn't have that ability? It makes me feel a lot of gratitude.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even for me, I mean, how many people would know who I am or what I do or anything that I've done in the past? It's these platforms that I've been a part of, and social media that's one of the best aspects of social media for sure. There's things I still haven't shared that people know I do, like my creative writing. That's not out there, but I do it. Maybe that'll be another avenue, eclectic arts, and there's writing or short stories or whatever. And yeah, it's great that there's no one's telling you, hey, you can't do that. You can't do that. It's like, well,
Yeah.
I always go back to something Gene Simmons of Kiss had said a long time ago. There's no reason you can't have steak and cheesecake. It's just like whatever you want to do, go ahead and do it. But it
You can
sounds
do whatever you want. That was actually a motto of mine with some girlfriends. We had a content trip one time, and the girls were like, well, what are you going to do, Tiffany? And I was like, I can do whatever I want. And then all of the girls picked that one up, and that was our motto for the week, was we can do whatever we want. So yeah, it is very cool to be able to share with fans, and I'm very grateful for the people and the fans that appreciate the content.
Yeah, again, for everybody that's watching, make sure you check out everything that Tiffany has going on. And she's talked about all the different facets of things that she has going on that you can access and check out. I'm kind of also curious that you had told me during the first interview that you're big time into running. That was kind of your big thing. Is that still keeping up?
So, no, because I have been trying to. This is a whole nother thing, like weightlifting. I have been trying to put on more muscle. And so I've taken a step back away from a lot of the cardio, which I still get anyway because I hike so often and the hikes are so long and a lot of them are pretty strenuous, that I'm still getting that cardio in there, and I'm trying not to add to it. Trying to get a little thicker for the winter, Mark, So I've taken a step back from running, although I do still have quite the passion for it. It is a sport that I'll always love and pursue. But I think I'm a bit more flexible in that I can take some time off from it and then get back to it. And if anything, it just makes me appreciate it just a little bit more.
Okay. All right. Well, see, there's another perfect example of you answering a question and you have all these things behind why you made the change of running less and backing off on the cardio. And so you're still getting chunks of it definitely from the hikes, but that you didn't say, well, I don't know, Mark, I'm just not running as much.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a reason. I'm trying to get a fatter butt, Mark, I'm trying not to run it off.
This just kind of, I still have a random brain of how it works, that with everything we've been talking about, have you ever thought about, and this might be way down the road or maybe not at all, that you've been so interested in your content creation on your YouTube channel, also on with your fan sites. And I know that, like the fan sites, they take a percentage, which that's how they work. Have you ever thought about creating like a platform where other creators or new creators could basically join whatever your branded site would be, so that you'd be away from OnlyFans, away from Fansly? And it's like, I don't know what that would be called, but it seems like you have the wherewithal that you could come up with something and get the backing for it and kind of create your own thing.
That's a really fantastic question and a really good perspective. It comes with a lot, doesn't it? It's there's no one straightforward answer. You never know, I guess. I would say I would just go back to the old saying, like, never say never. But currently in the works, I'm very happy with where I'm at and what I'm doing. Who knows? Time will tell. My partner and I, and as well as everybody else, are ever growing and ever changing. So it's definitely something that you've brought more to my attention, and I appreciate the outside perspectives. I also take that as quite the compliment, that you think that I would be able to handle that amount of workload because it takes a lot of backbone to be able to pull something like that off. But you never know. I'm quite happy with the way things are going now, though.
Okay, that's fair enough, and absolutely as a compliment to you and how you come across and everything that you have going on. That I could, if you did this, 5 years from now, I would not be surprised at all. It'd be like, Mark, look what I'm doing now. You want to do a live stream so I can promote this? I'd be like, okay, finally, you took the plunge and decided to go this route. But you're right, it would be a hell of a lot of work. But again, you chip away at everything, like you said, you're goal oriented. So that's what business people are. Period, that are successful, they have to be goal oriented, and just I could easily see that happening. Maybe like you're like, okay, my content stuff, I'm going to kind of slow it down some, but in the meantime, I'm going to focus on this other business enterprise over here that's still in that realm. I know what it's like to be a content creator, especially if you're starting out. So why don't you come join this? And it just kind of goes from there. But
yeah. I feel like a free agent right now, and I quite like that feeling of just being responsible for myself, and it offers me a lot of freedom, and I'm very grateful for that. So being responsible for other creators, no, that's a task, eh?
Yeah, I just think you'd be a really good mentor for people.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm always up for questions. If any fans or potential creators ever have any questions, I'm always up for answering a message or lending a helping hand if I can. So
perfect. So as we're finishing up the live stream here, we've kind of already talked about things, but if there's anything else you want to promote, if you want to go through all of your everything that you have, so people are aware.
Yeah, so I'm currently on OnlyFans and Fansly, and those are really my primary focuses. But I am also on Sex Panther, which is a great website if you want to chat and have a phone call, and that's something that I really appreciate because not all platforms offer that ability. I am also starting up my loyal fans. And so I'm definitely invested in doing the research behind loyal fans and kind of getting into the little conferences that they offer for the ins and outs so that I can run that platform and timeline better. Everyone can find me on Twitter, Instagram, FetLife, and TikTok. So I have tons of socials and tons of platforms and would love to hear from my fans.
Awesome. And everybody, don't forget her YouTube channel is also linked in this description. So go watch
YouTube channel.
Go watch some hiking adventures.
I'm very fond of that one. That one is really pleasing to me because I feel like I've been able to share something that has always been very special to me for such a long time, and sharing that with fans and other people is really awesome.
Yeah, I think it comes across that hiking has been something that's really near and dear to your heart, and now everyone else gets to see these beautiful places and also experience your personality as you do those hikes. So
yeah, I also have OFTV where which I forgot to mention, but it has very similar stuff as my YouTube. It's OFTV, and the OF page is free. And I share hiking photos that I've had in my phone over the last 10 years. There's hiking selfies, there's current stuff and old stuff, and that's a free page for people to be able to find me. And also I post hiking excursions and little city day hikes and things like that on OFTV as well. So but I'm grateful for all my fans wherever you choose to find me.
Awesome. Well, Tiffany, thank you so much for taking the time. It was great catching up with you a second time. And hopefully you feel open to possibly doing a third one somewhere down the road with me.
Oh, absolutely, Mark. It's always a pleasure. And I really appreciate you having me here and giving me the opportunity to promote some things that I have going on and just chat with me in general. It's really nice that you take the time out and to get to know me. I feel very special.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you both times. And I'll be somebody watching your YouTube channel and watching your socials and seeing what's new and what's coming up. And then if I see like there's something that maybe it's the right amount of time has passed since it's August now, maybe like around, I don't know, the holidays or something, I might ping you and kind of say, hey, you want to do a third one?
Fantastic.
And we can finish out 2025 that way.
That sounds great, Mark. I look forward to it.
Awesome. Have a great day. And thank you again.
You too. Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.